Good morning, beautiful. Woo! It is now Sunday, the 8th. We got an Uber shop at home at the home store. Hold on. So I know I have two immediate projects to do today. One of them is I'm gonna have to replace the kitchen faucet, right? I've been messing around with this so much that now I done stripped one of the knobs, right? So I have I've had a replacement faucet since forever. Well, it's been a long time because I wanted to replace those faucets because I had bought that one, as a quick replacement. When the last one went out, the last one went out. I replaced it with the cheap one that I got from Amazon, and I didn't like it because it didn't have one of those, nozzles that you could pull out, right? But at the time, all I could really afford was like $30. So I just bought the cheap one, right? And the problem with that is, it doesn't have a sprayer, right? So everything has to come straight out the nozzle. When it comes to even cleaning the sinks out, you kind of have to catch the water and splash it onto the sides of the sink, stuff like that. And I didn't like it. That's why I went ahead and bought a replacement faucet. Okay. Well, today, that faucet is going to have to be replaced at some time. But not right now. All right? Not right now. So, I shut off the water valves. And, I have the replacement faucet, sitting there on the counter. It's been sitting on there. It's probably got a lot of dust on it. Because, I'm like, look, don't be sitting up there, messing around and don't be sitting up there messing around, thinking that, you got it like that. So now that the faucet is actually broke and needs to be replacing, I have a replacement ready, right? I just need to just replace it, right? And I'm pretty sure all I need to do is unscrew the two nodules, at the top, take the old one out, put in the new one, and of course this one here does have, an expandable faucet. So yeah, it's gonna be weighted. It's gonna have a weight so that, anytime you pull out the faucet, the weight will cause the faucet to retract back into its holder. Okay, I know this. I've done this before. It's just the archons. The archons is making it seem like it's a difficult task to do, and that it's negative, and that you don't really want to do it. And that fucking archon. Can we please get a Mercury bar or something to shield us from the archons, please? Because we got things we got to do, right? And we can't be dealing with negative emotions while we doing it. So yeah, course, I'm thinking I need to, get out here and make me a little change. Right? Anyway, just in case the deal that I thought I was going to make with these people for $400 on the Infiniti doesn't work out. It should work out, right? Because they're probably getting, even if they was to go and trash this car at the recycle, right? Because I used to date a guy who, that's what he did. He took vehicles to the recycle, and back in those days, which was what, about 40 years ago, let's say 35 years ago, about 35 years ago, they used to pick up the vehicles. He had his own tow truck, and he used to go around, he would tow people, he would pick up, running or not vehicles, and take them to the recycle, and they would give him like $250, per vehicle, based off the weight of the vehicle, right? Like smaller vehicles, they got the minimum, which was like $200, right? A bigger vehicle got anywhere from $200 to $300, maybe even $400, right? Depending on the type of vehicle it was, because it was based off of weight, right? So a vehicle that was not made of fiberglass definitely got more weight than those who are, So yeah, I'm gonna do this one shopping trip, and at least I'll have me like $5, okay? And then go back to the house. I think that's how it's gonna work out, because they're supposed to show up anywhere between 12 and 4. All right, 12 and 4. They give you a whole 4-hour window. All right, but that's something we agreed upon. It was going to happen today, and that'll be one less thing that I'll need to purge off my list. I'm telling you, as an old person, it feels cruel and uncomfortable, having to purge, and I'll be honest, a lot of people were like, well, yeah, that's what all old people do. Well, no, not all old people do that, right? Most of the time, 999, most of the time, if given the opportunity, right, old people would, try to maintain what they have, right? But because they're on a fixed income, and because, they actually become targets to predators, right? Trying to scam them and, and abuse them, Speaking of, abusing them, right? I mean, Natalie Guthrie, supposedly an 84-year-old woman that was kidnapped. Right? Kidnapped for a ransom. What is this? I was thinking home goods, not at home. So, yeah, we might. Yeah, I was definitely thinking the home store, not at home store. There's a difference. Well, this is this. Okay, I've never been inside of that store at home. This is across from the steakhouse. Now I'm remembering I've seen the store before. Yeah, there it is, at home. And I've only been inside of it once, but it's more like a warehouse for, you know, home stuff than anything. Yeah, I definitely thought I was going to be shopping, for an artist. I could still be shopping for an artist, but this stuff here, we'll have to see. I'm gonna look, and if it looks like the shit is just way too big, we may need to just cancel and say, I can't fit this shit in my car. Hold on. Let's see what we're talking about. It says pick up one item. Let's go. Okay. Even though they only got some pots, some pans, right? They only bought pans, right? This delivery looks like it's all the way in Sashi. Okay? Sashi, Texas. Which is pretty far. It's 20 miles. And they're saying, well, it's 25 minutes if you go the highway, right? Yeah, it's all the way in Sashi. I don't know what I was thinking, but, I don't know who would, 3 frying pans from Mesquite to be delivered all the way back to Sachet, Texas. Sachet is on the other side of Garland. Today, and part of the reason why I even got out, right? Like I said, sometimes, I be getting a little stressed out about stuff, and it looks like I be procrastinating, which I do, right? I'll procrastinate if my emotions ain't right. Because when my emotions ain't right, you could be thinking that you're doing the right thing, right? And start breaking shit. Yeah, you can start breaking some shit up, right? Now, here's one of the things that kind of tripped me out, right? Yeah. This is one of those orders that will send you down a tollway. Right? We're not doing toll roads. We're not doing toll roads. We're not doing toll roads. So you're gonna have to figure something out. But yeah, that's what they did. I just looked because I'm like, wait a minute, it kind of looks like they're sending me down a toll road. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to send you down a toll road, right? So if you got to pay a toll road fee, that $5 that they were giving you now turns into $3.50. People out here who drive, they know what I'm talking about. However, I'm kind of giving this dude a little bit of grace because what? My great-grandfather was named Alfred. At least that's what my mama said. So, yeah. Just by the name alone. And there's a lot in the name. A lot of people are like, oh, what's in the name? A lot. It could be a lot. Like Sharia Moore, Darling Love. Yes. Don't you look beautiful today for such a hard day? Yes. Man, it's overcast out here, but the temperature says 58 degrees. So when we do this, we'll go back home and then the faucet while we're waiting for Petals to come and pick up the vehicle. Now, I got neighbors that park all around my driveway, right? And I've talked about this before, right? Now, my daughter, she's quick to tell them, hey, don't be parking up here in front of the house, right? Because she feels like if it's in front of the house, that's my parking spot. And I'm telling her, like, no, it's not really my parking spot. It's a public road, And she's like, well, I'm going to tell them to move their car, right? And so she will. She'll tell them to move their car. So they're going to have to try to figure out how they're going to, like, finagle the car out of the driveway. Because my neighbors, they got it locked in, where there's not room. There's not room, for a tow truck, right? And my car, I mean, it's hard enough with a running vehicle to finagle my way out of there. But with a vehicle that's not running and a big ass tow truck, we'll have to see how that works out, right? I'm hoping that by the time they get here, those cars will have moved. But the truck at the end of the driveway, probably not. Because it's Sunday. But, my neighbors, they're pretty nice. I've never asked nothing of them. I haven't. I've never asked anything of them. So hopefully, if I have to ask them, can they please move their vehicle? Now, the girl who's parked out there, I don't think she'll be a problem. I really don't think she'll be a problem. But, like I said, the guy, with the truck, he really shouldn't be a problem, because he should know that, when it comes to, business, and construction, why would they send me back down that way if I'm going all the way out here to Sachet? They're going to send me back over here to Taco Bell? that was in there, right? I'm telling her, I said, hey, can you tell me, if this is gonna be a big pickup because I got a small car, right? She's like, oh well, they assess your vehicle, before sending you. I'm like, oh, they do, because I understand like a warehouse like that, it could have really big items. This here is just three pans. Okay, I was relieved. I'm like, right. However, when I found out the destination, I was not relieved. I was a little bit upset to feel like, oh my gosh, from Mesquite over here to Sachet, that's it. That's all I'm going to be able to do because it's going to take all my time. It's going to take all my time. Right now it's what, 10:30? Yeah, just about 10:30. And I need to be back at the house by noon. But I was just talking about that. Was that yesterday? Yeah, or the day before yesterday, where Uber will try to put you on freeways, right? And they don't care if it's a freeway with the toll, right? They wanted me to go 635, then the 30, then the George Bush Freeway, which is definitely a toll. It's a toll freeway, right? Like I said, you can't jump on and jump off the tollway without having to spend $1 or $2. All right, and it just goes up, just depending on how long you're on that freeway. And like I said, I'm not with all of these charges behind the scenes. I'm not with that. Even if I thought, well, it might be $1.50 and only giving me $3.50 for this whole trip, right? $3.50 for the whole trip. That is what, from 10 already a half an hour. Okay, so I'm already operating in the red. Right? It's already upside down. We're not out here, just lollygagging. Okay? We're not. We're out here trying to make some money, to feed ourselves. We're not out here just lollygagging. Time, the mechanics, the equipment required, the risk. There's always a risk. When you're out here traveling, there's always the risk of an accident. Always. So there's a risk, right? There's a risk that, somebody got the order wrong. There's a risk that, you won't be able to find the location. There's always these risks, right? That you can't even, foresee. And then, they're sending you down highways, that you got to pay. You got to pay to get on those highways. Now, I don't know who's large and in charge like that, but, more power to you. More power to you. Because there will be some people who are like, okay, I'll go ahead and do this. I'll make it up, right? Sometimes, sometimes people will rethink, their whole order. Like, I'm just amazed that, sometimes I get extra tips, right? I get like $3.50, $5 tips, because people are like, what? This trip cost them, an hour of driving. They had to go 17 miles. They'll think about it and they'll be like, oh, yeah, that was, I really need to give them, a tip. Right? Because we're not employees of Uber. We're not. We're just contractors. Right? Trying to make some money. That's all we are. Now, some people, they may think they're getting over on Uber. They're not getting over on Uber. They're getting over on the contractors. And I think that's where some of them, have to rethink. Like, oh yeah, these people are individual contractors. I'm not getting over on Uber. I'm not getting over on the credit card company. I'm making, the driver suffer. And then they'll be like, shit. Why did I let the Archon talk me into some bullshit like that? Right? Where I just want to just commit pain on somebody like that, a financial pain. So yeah, now I wish I had both yogurts. I was going to grab 2 yogurts, but I only grabbed 1 because I only had 2 left. I was like, yeah, I can save 1 for later. And then I grabbed the hydration water and stuff. I just tasted it last night while I was eating my keto chips that taste like barbecue wings. They were good. They were so good. So yeah, I was in a carb coma last night. So yeah. I'm really kind of upset because I never realized how much a drip can actually waste when it comes to water. Like, I put a bucket into the bathtub, right? Because, I had turned on the water so that it would drip, right? And for some reason, I'm having problems stopping the drip. Right? It's one of those, you just have to find the right shut off, right? It's at a particular degree where it would just completely shut off. Well, I'm having a hard time finding it, and so I have a drip, and so I put a bucket underneath the drip, and I am so surprised just how much water is accumulated in just an occasional drip. Right? So I've been using that drip, to flush the toilet. Cause I'm like, that normally that was water just going down the drain, right? And if it's going down the drain, I want it to be, going down the drain in a useful manner. Okay. So we're sitting up here, trying my best. I am really trying my best, to hold it together. Right? Because, even though I have it set up to where, I will receive, my pension, I will prefer to move, right, as soon as that happens, because I'll have more money, right? And if I can, sell the house and get whatever I can from the house, or even just clear off my debt, right, that would be nice. Okay. However, I'm really torn between just filing bankruptcy because that's definitely one thing that I wanted to do. Part of the reason why I'm out here, trying to make extra money is so, I can file bankruptcy and let, America know that no, I'm not making money to pay y'all, right? And you could stop calling my phone at 8 o'clock in the morning telling me to get my ass up and try to make some money. However, if I try to do a quick sale on the house, right? Of course, they'll want to pay my creditors off with any profit that I have. They'll want to pay my creditors off, right? Would that give me good credit? I doubt it. They're not going to go back and say, well, they're supposed to go back and say, the credit's been, abolished. I mean, the bad credit is supposed to, been rectified. We only charge you $20, labor, but you have to buy the oil, and also you had to pay the extra $5 to dispose of the old oil. Yes, that's the way we do business. The $20 was just the labor. that's how they do business nowadays. That's how they do business. They fish you to come in on little statements that they think will grab your attention. Once you're in, then they explain it to you quick, fast, and in a hurry. Like, chop chop, we need to get this done. Do you want it or not? So you're like, yeah. That's why I pulled in. I pulled in because I wanted my oil changed. Let's do it then. And then you get your bill and it's like $60 for the oil change, right? Because it went from $20 oil change. But they explain to you when you get in, yeah, that $20 is for the labor. Right? And that's when you have to ask them, so what are all of the charges involved in this oil change? Can I get a total? Oh, well, we can't give you a total unless we know what type of oil you need. Because some vehicles require, high performance oil. Right? Like I said, it's interesting how much America's economy is based off of, the car industry, right? And honestly, if it wasn't for the car industry, it probably wouldn't be so great, right? However, they needed the car industry because they was running the horses ragged. Yeah, they was running the horses ragged. Yeah, I shut it off because I'm already at 45 minutes, right? So I've been riding around for 45 minutes already for $5. Just so you know. But that's okay. As long as we make it back home before noon. I hope these guys do like a Zelle transfer. That way I get my money like right now. Right now. It's in my bank. It's in my bank account. from being able to deliver this. So hold on. So I was just thinking, right? I have really did good as far as, controlling even my coffee intake, right? I had gotten so bad, I was drinking about a pot of coffee a day, right? With the creamer or the milk or whatever. But right now, it's like, so what if I don't have coffee? So what? We're going through the light. We're going through the light. We went through the light. Barely. So a lot of these country folk out here, they still go to church. They still go to church. Yeah, they be thanking God. They be thanking God for blessing them with a nice home out here in the country. It's a nice little neighborhood out here, right? It's like just enough people to be comfortable. Just enough people so that you don't feel like, you're isolated and, ain't got nothing to do, or, because sometimes just having people around you will make you feel like, there are things to do, places to go, and people to see. There it is. Hold on. And I wish they would say something to me about, I thought it would be here faster. And I would tell them, I said, yeah, they had outlined, brand new apartments, and they look pretty nice. That they had created a whole route involving taking the tollway. Taking the tollway would have just made me have to pay for this delivery. Right? That's what they don't understand. They don't understand? Do you understand? Oh my God, look at this Buddhist, whatever this is. Look at this. Okay. That was strange and weird. All of those Buddhist statues. Now that I've learned a little bit more about history and understanding that Buddhist was around even before Islam. The Buddhists and the Islam were at war. Okay? They were at war, and the Islams, was definitely more treacherous in defeating the Buddhists, who I guess was more peaceful. Okay, because that's how you win a war. Who's ever the most treacherous and tyrannical wins the war. Okay? Okay. So yeah, when Itchy Boots, was it Itchy Boots? Anyway, it's one of my travel channels that I watch. They were showing me that these particular lands where it used to have like huge Buddhist statues engraved into the wall, right? And I was just amazed. I was amazed. Right? Because we're being told that Buddhist was the oldest religion, right? Not Buddha. Well, we're being told, but Islam is actually, fighting for the right to say that they're the real religion, and therefore they were first. Hold on, I'm here. Okay, that trip gave me like $7.61. So whatever they're doing, they also got another at-home delivery for those pants from a different location, I'm sure. Whew. So yeah, right? And now, here's the thing about Christianity, right? Damn it. How do I get out of here? Here's the thing about Christianity. I hope I can get out of here. This turned into a cul-de-sac. That's what I hate about some of these places. But these homes are beautiful over here. Yes, they are. Oh my gosh. This whole neighborhood where the houses are almost totally brick, right? It's like all three sides, the front and the sides, are all brick. Okay? Or stone. Either brick or stone. And only the back will be, vinyl. Big houses. They were big. I think like 2,500 and larger. So yeah, we made that delivery. Now we're gonna go back to the house. The house isn't that far, so that's a good thing. I just had to go down Lavon to Beltline, then to Centerville. Boom, I'll be home. Yeah, I cannot believe that they will, chart you a whole destination with the toll road, right? Now, toll road's not free, right? They don't have, buy a monthly. Well, maybe they do. That I make it. I don't. If they have it, I don't know about it. If they have a pass for the toll road that you can buy and pay a flat monthly fee, and therefore you can jump on and off the toll road anytime you want, anywhere in Texas, then that's beautiful, right? It would even be beautiful if you could just, have a certain area or a district, right? Oh wow, they're getting ready to build some more out here in Sachet. They're building out here in Sachet for real. Nice little apartments or condos or something. Maybe townhouses, I don't know. This one here has garages and stuff. That's where you look at and you're like, oh my gosh, the apartments, they look so much better than the homes surrounding it. So during this whole trip, right, during this whole trip, I've been, you know what? Stop, Cherie. During this whole trip, I've been sitting up here playing in the background how I'm going to repair this faucet mentally, right? That's playing in the background. That's been playing on the back burner. Like, when you get home, you're going to fix this faucet, right? You're going to take out these particular holes at the end, if possible, right? Why do I say if possible? Because you might have to use the other end if it's too hard, because I know there's a small space between, that you can maneuver to get to the faucet, to unhook the faucet. Now, I do have one of those big, plumber wrenches that I can utilize. All right. So I've been running over and over on the back burner of my mind while I'm driving, multitasking, right? Mentally multitasking, how I'm going to repair this faucet or exchange out, how I'm going to have to replace, I don't want to say replace this faucet, because I already got the faucet. I was going to replace it a long time ago. But like I said, I was like, man, I ain't going to do it, right? And then slowly, this cheap-ass faucet started getting loose, right? Started dripping water, right? One side I had completely shut off because it was dripping, cold water. And I'm like, well, okay, no problem. As long as I have hot water, I'm good. Right? So I just been using the hot water and tighten up the cold water so tight that you can't even, use the cold water because it just dripped. Right? And what really made me conscientious about my water was when I got the water bill, because I have a water leak now from the pipe outside, right? I thought it was from the water faucet speaking on the outside, right? But now it seems like it's not from the spigot itself, that it's actually from the pipe that's underground. And I'm like, oh my God, how much is that gonna cost me? Right? And there's not like irrigation on our road, right? There's so when the water goes down into the street, it pools and puddles there until it evaporates, right? So now there's a whole puddle of water on the street, and I know it's coming from my house. My neighbor knows it's coming from my house, right? They tried to put up a little blockade so their driveway could be free of water. They put up a little dam. Just in time.